Hello guys. Okay, I'm going to talk to you about patching a concrete water tank. So, okay, a concrete water tank here where I'm living is about $20,000 plus delivery. A plastic water tank with all of those chemicals leaching into your water is about $3,000 to $4,000. So, of course, we all want our concrete water tanks. But a lot of these concrete water tanks are leaking and they've started to leak. So I'm going to bring you over to my water tank and I'll show you what we've been doing. But there's two basic ways to patch a water tank. And the first one is kind of this base stuff right here. And this is kind of like a cement patch with a crystal that's supposed to go through the leak and search down the leak and fill the leak from the inside. Don't do anything, just slap it on and your leak stops. That is proof that hope springs eternal. Then there's the other one where we're actually going to fill the hole and stop the hole, and that's done with various types of fillers or epoxies. This one here is a epoxy here made for mortar, and that's the so that's this one here over on this side, and so that's a separate way. So now we're going to walk over to the tank and talk about what we have, what we see, what we've done, and how to proceed. Now the sun's kind of coming in from the wrong angle, so this may not show up too well. But anyway, so here is some of the cracks in the tank. And so you see how high up they go. This one here goes, oh, that's over halfway, and I've got one more that goes 3/4 of the way up the tank. And I've been patching these now for the last 2 or 3 years using those two methods that I just showed you. I've been kind of going back and forth and back and forth. And I can use these actually to tell me the level of the tank. See, that's my water level right there, because that's where the leak's coming out. So that that's a bit distressing. And I look at this tank and I say, well, the tank's here, right in the middle of all these bananas. It ought to stay. Why do I need to change this tank? Put a whole new tank in, spend another $20,000? Can't I? Hey, look at that. Those bananas are coming on. How about that, man? Check that out. Okay, there we go. Bananas and bananas. Oh, I bet those, I could pick those. It's probably time. I should pull those down. I'll do that today. Back to the tank. So, what do we do? Okay, this is by far the worst side of the tank. These cracks got pretty big. And you can see the water that was coming down. I just did another patch over there. Poor chickens over on that side. Getting wet all the time. But now if you look, now look how high that one goes. That goes almost to the top of the tank. So that doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence that this tank has a lot of life left in it. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. So this one here, now that's fresh mortar that I just put in. And down here where the big holes were, where were the big holes? The big holes were there. See where that crack is kind of coming out? Now that's that actual epoxy stuff. And you can see it's leaking just a little bit. But this was pouring, you know, like 2 fingers just shooting out not that long ago. Probably like 3 days ago when I started getting serious about, okay, got to patch this thing up again. The ground's too muddy. So, okay, now we're going to talk about how my future in fixing. Because that's, all of these kind of work a little bit. They work for a while, 6-8 months, something like that. Then I gotta start it up all again. Okay, I'll come in from this side so that you can see. And see, there's more cracks around here. So basically the whole bottom half of the tank has cracks and leaks. So what to do about that? Like how to make a fix so I don't have to keep fixing it. Well, I have a couple steps going on. This is my plan and what I'm going to do for the next 2 steps of tank fixing. The first one, I'm going to make up a couple straps, maybe 2, maybe 3 straps that go all the way around the tank, all the way around, and another one kind of down at that level, all the way around. And then I'm going to put those clamps together with a bolt that I can clamp down and really put some pressure on that tank. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go get some steel like 5 mil by maybe 20 mil. Maybe 40 mil, and go all the way around, take the ends, bend them up, put a little reinforcement there, put a bolt hole, and then clamp the tank and really put some pressure on it. And I'm going to take that after I make that, then I got to take it and get it galvanized so that it'll last. And galvanizing steel and concrete do really well together. One of the reasons that people say that these tanks are starting to fail all of a sudden, because there's a whole slew of them around here that are failing, is that that we're suddenly getting a bunch more acid rain, and the acid softens the concrete from the inside and kind of ruins the concrete. And because of course the concrete is a base, and the acid ruins it, and that's it. Then it's then your tank's ruined, and and the rain is endless. And in fact, this is one of our first sunny days. That's why I'm out here patching the tank. And so, from our part of the world anyway. So, okay, because what happens is that the tank is structurally held together with steel, because it's ferro cement. That's the steel part of it. And the cement is then used as kind of the binder and the sealant for all of that steel. So once the steel starts to let go, we have to replace the steel and get that working, get that structurally sound again. And the only way I can think of to do that is a strap on the inside. Then my next step is to re-plaster the inside of the tank, put a whole new mesh on the inside. I mean, if I'm going to pay $20,000 for a new tank, and I got to get it in here, and I got to get trucks all through here, by the time I finish all that and redo all this plumbing and everything else, by the time I do all that, I have just as much work into climbing inside the tank and just re-plastering it. And so that's my thought. Make something that's like, I don't know, 20 to 30 mil thick all the way around on the inside of the tank with some new metal reinforcing in there. Get inside of the thing, pressure wash it, and then put a bunch of concrete screws in there, and then plaster, and then wrap rebar around on the inside with some type of a mesh that I can use, and then plaster on the inside of that. Let that kick for a day or two. And hopefully it'll all bind together. And basically what I'll be doing is using this old tank as the mold for a new tank inside of it. And see, if you have one little crack in there, it'll get behind that concrete, and it's hydraulic pressure. It's called hydraulicizing. And if you look that up, you'll see that we're fighting a bit of a losing battle, because it means that it only takes one drop to get through your membrane, whatever it is, and it'll get on the outside and equalize pressure and continue to break whatever's on the outside. So I'm trying to make a concrete membrane because I don't want to eat and drink out of plastic. And so, because we all know the horrors of plastic and what that can do to your system, your bodily system, and we don't want all those chemicals in our water. And so plastic tanks are cheap, but I'm assuming you have a concrete tank and you want to keep that working. That's why we're having this discussion. So just to review, the first thing is patch it with one of those two materials. If it's a small crack, then try that plaster stuff. If it's a bigger crack, then you have to remove the water. You got to get the water out of the tank so it stops leaking. Gives the you don't have to, but it gives the epoxy so much better of a chance, because the epoxy, if it's running, the epoxy just gets washed out. And then after that, we need to structurally stabilize the tank. We need to get the tank stable again, and that's the strap idea that I'm coming to the conclusion of. I thought about, trying to wrap the whole thing in fence wire or something, and then put a ratchet. But it's just too small of a surface area to bite into the tank. That's why I'm thinking of something like 20 mil strap by 5 mil thick, so that it's got a little bit of strength, and put that get that galvanized. Put that on the tank, and that stabilizes it again. Maybe that'll keep the cracks from opening up, and that might give me another 5 or 10 years. And then next is try for the 10 or 15 year solution of re-plastering the inside of the tank. Put your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're doing. The only reason I'm making this video is because everywhere that I look, nobody's made a video on how to successfully fix a tank. I'll leave you with one more thing. It's kind of depressing. I had a friend up the hill. They had a tank very similar to this. Called in a guy, $4,000. They re-plastered the whole inside of the tank. They patched it on the outside. They did everything I'm saying, and it leaked straight away. Filled the thing up, leaked straight away. So, I'm not saying that this is going to work. I just don't see why it wouldn't work, and that's what would keep me going. And I don't know why those other guys' project didn't work, but they had to go in with a digger, break the old tank away, come in with a land crane, put a new tank in place. Then finally they had to go to plastic because they had spent all their budget on trying to get the concrete tank. So the money they had left was to go with plastic. So it was kind of a loss. So I'm not saying it's going to work. And I'm also, when I look on YouTube, I don't see anybody who's actually done that and had success. I can't see why it won't work. So that's the plastering of the inside of the tank idea. Okay, guys, good luck. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had a successful tank fix, or should I just go buy a new tank and quit messing and wasting my time? Okay, bye-bye.